No, thank you, Maria, for your time. So, this is part of the series Portrait of a Leader within my LinkedIn series of posts. And let's start with the first question about leadership. Tell us about your first experience as a leader, Maria.
Um, Difficult to say exactly the first, because what is a leader? What do you mean by leadership? But one of the first experiences I remember when I was able to speak on behalf of others and present to an audience and express a point of view was when I was in primary school in year 7, and I was asked to make a speech at the school assembly on behalf of all the students at the school, because we had a retiring headmistress, to thank her for her work and speak to the audience of 200-300 people. So again, at the age of 12, this was a big thing, and I needed to have the support of all the other students behind me.
How did you come to be chosen?
I had been away from school for 6 months. I had been to Europe with my family. So I had done a lot of growing up when I was in Europe for 6 months and seen a lot of different things, experienced different things. And because I had had the experience of doing interpreting whilst at school, you may have heard me speak at the function of the Abruzzo Club.
Yes.
When the headmistress had problems with the Italian parents, she would ask me to come in and do the translating or
Yes.
the interpreting.
I do remember.
So,
tell us.
yes, that's how they knew me, and they knew that I would be able to deal with it, which I did. So, and I think 1972 was the time of multiculturalism in Australia. It was a very new concept, and I think all of that happened, and I was at the right place at the right time.
How did you, why were you chosen as the interpreter?
I was a good student, so I didn't have problems with the teachers or the hierarchy in the school, and I was bilingual.
Awesome.
I think that's why.
And
I don't think they would have chosen a naughty student, but I was a good student and I had the language as well.
Great, awesome. Next question. One experience of growing up in the Italian community in Perth which has shaped your adult leadership style?
I think something that my father made me very aware of, that people in authority and rules, that not everybody applies them the best way or consistently, and there's a need to have some skepticism, be wary of rules and regulations and people in authority.
That's interesting. Has this shaped your career as well?
Yes, I think so. And my father's philosophy was that even if someone is the Prime Minister of the country, the person is still a human being, a man or a woman, and they have the same needs and desires and interests as you. And you should be able to speak to them irrespective of the difference in position. So yes, that has impacted on me, and attitude to authority and how to deal with people, and also, how rules and regulations work.
It sounds pretty humble. Sounds like humility as a value, first of all.
Yeah, but some people would say that that's very brash, and it's perhaps lack of respect for someone in the position. So I think what my father was saying was the position you respect, but the person in the position is not the position. And there are people in positions of authority that sometimes are bad people, sometimes they're good people, so you do need to have this skepticism.
Yes, and I'm referring to the concept that people are people are human beings. that is very humble, and I like it very much.
Oh, that's good. My father was an intelligent man. Didn't do much schooling, but he was an intelligent man.
I can tell. So, what is the most underestimated reason for an organization to have a diverse leadership team? Passing to next question, just for a matter of time. We may go back to this later.
Well, I mean, again, I think that, the third and the fourth questions are very similar. And I was thinking along the lines, if you had to go to war, you need a leader to take the army into war. Why would you follow the leader? You follow the leader because you respect the leader, you believe in what the leader does. The leader is like you and reflects the people that the leader is leading, and that if the message is right, then you would do things. There's some commonality between the leader and the people being led. And if you look just currently at Mr. Turnbull versus Mr. Abbott, you know, same political party, they've both been around for a long time, but one is viewed as better reflecting, you know, the current status rather than the other one.
And what happens when people are supposed to follow, but they aren't engaged?
Well, that's follow.
Because
the reluctance is obvious, and that what they say and what they do are not the same thing. They might have to do things for business reasons. They might have to follow, but their heart's not in it, and their mind is not in it. So you don't get the best out of people.
Yes. What's the least intuitive reason to have a diverse leadership and workplace?
Well, I mean, I guess in this day and age, everybody's talking about diversity, and I have a problem with the word diversity, but that's a different issue, because all you're doing is having a better representation of the general population, whether it be gender or race or sexual orientation or age or whatever.
Yes.
The least intuitive reason is you're doing it because people are telling you it's the right thing to do, rather than you believe that it will improve your business, it will improve your standing in the community, it will be a benefit in the long run. So political correctness is not the reason to do it. I guess that's the least intuitive reason.
I see. And what's the... Oh, yes, because you told me before the most underestimated. So these are reasons why some people are doing it. Some organizations are implementing more diversity initiatives.
Yes, because it's the trend. It's the current fashion. Not because they believe it or they want to improve their business as a result.
And what happens when they don't believe it?
It fails, and then they'll say, see, I told you there's no point having women in the top because they can't meet the challenge. They choose the wrong people. They just choose someone because they're there, and then when it doesn't work, they use that to justify their theory.
Oh, you are a genius, aren't you? This is so true. Yes. Okay. Sorry, I shouldn't be so excited.
No, that's okay.
When you think of a diverse workforce, so a workforce that better represents the general population at the bottom, with a more uniform leadership team, the first thing that comes to your mind?
Well, you saw what I wrote.
Yes, tell us to the readers, to the listeners. I loved it.
I think, as I said, any of the female-dominated industries or sectors, because you look at the people in leadership positions and they're usually the men, and yet most of the workers are women.
Yes.
And that just shows the arrogance, why leadership is not effective, because the leaders don't reflect the people that are working for them. Okay,
so you don't want to tell us what you wrote me?
Oh, no, you can. no, I said prostitution is an example of that.
Okay, yes, I didn't think of that before, but then it made sense.
Sorry, not the best business thing, but you know, I think it paints a very good picture.
And do you think things are changing or not?
Yes, I think they are, and when they change properly, they can change very quickly. And again, you know, if you just look at Mr. Turnbull and what he's done there, you know, first Mr. Abbott said there were no women, or only one woman was good enough to be in cabinet, and then Mr. Abbott goes and Mr. Turnbull comes, and how many women has he put in cabinet? So it really depends on the mindset of the people as well. If you think that it can be done and you look for how it can be done, then you will do it. But if it's all too hard and you can't be bothered or whatever, then it's impossible.
And what's the role of women in this? Because women should think that it can be done, should at least, but sometimes we don't even think it's possible.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, I have a young girl that I know who's 8 months pregnant. She's a lawyer. She's just resigned from one company and she's got a job with another company, and they know that she's going to go and have a baby and won't be back to work until, you know, next year. But they're happy for her to do that. So the younger women are more, they believe more that things can be done and that there's nothing that should be stopping them.
Awesome. How do shareholders, clients, and community benefit from diversity in the leadership team?
Well, from a business perspective, I think there's a better return on investment. And if you have people with diverse backgrounds, understandings, diverse languages, it's better for innovation, and people recognise opportunities differently, and it's better for the business. And it's also more popular with the workforce, because you're not getting the same type of people in the workforce, much wider spread.
Yes.
Just a smarter way of doing things. It's like, I guess, if you have, you know what Smarties are? The chocolate lollies.
Oh, okay. Yes.
You know the Smarties? You get green ones, red ones, black ones.
More or
Yeah, or
less.
jelly beans. That sort of thing. Jelly beans.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you pick out only the black jelly beans, you've got a packet of mixed jelly beans or mixed C&Cs. You only pick out one colour. Are you getting the full range of flavours, the look, the feel? No. Now, you might like it for certain elements, but not everyone is going to appreciate that. Other people say, no, I want the red one, no, I want the white one, no, I want the pink one.
What's so difficult about having a more a wider representation within organizations and within the leadership teams? What's making it so difficult?
I think fear, a fear that you'll lose control, I think that's it, the fear of losing control.
By whom?
By the leaders. If we don't have people who are like us coming up through the pipeline, then heavens knows where it's all going to go. We won't be able to have a consensus. We will never get a majority because everyone will be thinking differently, have different aims, different whatever. The fear of the unknown, fear of not being able to continue what's there.
Mm-hmm. Yes. What needs to happen to displace this fear?
Displace? Which place?
To erase this fear.
Oh, to erase the fear. It needs some people with strong conviction and the courage to experiment and try something different.
Courage.
Yeah.
Give me an example when you saw this.
Let me proceed.
It can be personal, if that's okay for you. When you saw something unusual that required courage to help inclusion.
Yeah, I guess the Law Society, when the Law Society had its first female president, not me, it was before me.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very male-dominated profession, more men than women, and the people voted to give a senior female lawyer a go. That was a big risk that worked, and that then meant that it opened the door for other senior women to have leadership positions in the society, and I was one of the ones that benefited from that in more recent times.
Nice. Okay. How would you measure the level of inclusion in an organization?
Again, I think, electronically, number of likes or followers is one of the things, but if you're looking at it from people perspective, I like to think people in their own time and at their own cost, would they socialise together? And when they socialise, do they speak positive or negative about their company? Are they proud of it? Do they sell the business? They don't have to, but they choose to, and I think that makes a difference. That means that shows that they feel included in the company. Its future is their future. The two are intertwined.
Yes, and it's so futuristic, like using Facebook to rate your company.
Yep.
And it can be done. It's easy.
Of course, and then one of the things I didn't talk about there is obviously the culture. The culture of a company, the culture of the business is important. So it's one thing to have all the policies that say we value people, our staff are our most important asset.
Yes.
But if that is not how they actually live and work, then they are hollow words and it will not work. But if the culture is right, then the business will take off and people will be, the inclusion of the people will definitely be there. So I think the right culture is important.
Do you know any organizations that are doing this actively?
Well, I don't know personally, but I've read about, Google, Facebook, those high-tech companies do that very well from what I've read.
Mm-hmm. Good. So it's already known to be working.
Yes.
Thank you. One most important thing that needs to happen to have more women in leadership positions?
Well, as I've said before, I think do a Malcolm Turnbull on the cabinet is a good thing. But I think recruitment practices need to improve because a lot of women aren't the type to put their hand up and say, pick me, pick me. They wait for someone to tap them on the shoulder. So I think people need to be conscious of that and so look a little bit harder. And if you happen to be a woman from a culturally and linguistically diverse background, a core background, you have a couple of more hurdles than just being a woman. So it really needs someone to look hard and perhaps ask questions differently.
Are you talking about sponsors?
Well, you can have sponsors as opposed to mentors. All of that helps, but at some point, the women have to stand up and put their hand up. I think as Sheryl Sandberg says, the lady from Facebook, is lean in. The women have to lean in, not lean out. Put the hand up and say, yes, I can, or yes, I will try.
Do you
because
think
some would say there's a level playing field now, but there's still disproportionate representation, and some of that is because women choose not to put their hand up. That fear of failure, fear of stress, they've been brought up to think that they need to look after the men or they need to be looked after. They're a little princess, they can't do anything. So I think the lean in, put the hand up is important.
What would you tell the women who are asking, who are actually raising their hands and are rejected? They're told, no, you can't. We have already someone doing that, but they know that they can do it.
Well, I'd suggest try again, and remember that there's more than one way to skin the cat. So by that I mean, if it doesn't work in that business, you go elsewhere.
Awesome.
Or start up your own business. There are options. If there are no options, then you've got a problem. If you can't see that there are different options, then you've got a problem.
So perhaps having to upskill or change field and other things that a man would also need to do.
Yes.
Is there something in your career that you've done and you would advise future female leaders not to do?
Well, I think sometimes playing the waiting game, wait for the right moment or the stars to align is not good. You need to take opportunities when they come or look for opportunities and make them happen. I learned that a bit. I didn't learn that at the beginning of my career. I've learned that more as I've progressed.
And could you give us an example of an opportunity that going back to you would now take? If it's the case, or the closest to this example, to give us just a practical example.
I guess my practical example is not a negative, it's more a positive.
Yeah.
Going back to that personal example, when I was at university, there was a scholarship program happening in France. And I felt that it was the right time for me to apply, and I did, and I got it, but then my parents didn't want me to go. I didn't take no for an answer then. I made sure that they changed their minds, even though reluctantly. But I do know others who did not want to have the fight at the time, and they wanted to wait for the right moment. And the right moment sometimes just never comes.
Awesome. I like it. Thank you. What are some benefits of a diversified workplace that organizations should value more?
Well, I think you're trying to get the best out of everyone. So to ensure that they're encouraged and feel motivated, you need to have a microcosm of what society is like outside within a business. That, I think, leads to benefits because you are getting the best of everyone, not just more of the same white Anglo-Saxon, Church of England males. You get more ideas coming through. People have different experiences. They've lived different things in different countries, different times, things that could help your business and you wouldn't even have thought about it. Listen to them, learn from their experiences and value them.
Thank you. What is your personal attribute that helped you shape your career the most?
I think faith in my own abilities, but also knowing the limit of those abilities.
I understand the first one, which is confidence, I think. And how about the second one? The second part. Second part. No.
Well, just knowing how much I can do and how much I can't do.
And how?
It's not that I believe I can do everything.
Mm-hmm.
I know where my limit is.
Mm-hmm. How do you use this limit when you know that something is outside of your current abilities?
If I want to I will learn to do what I need to do. I'll upskill, take the right steps, make the right acquaintances, be more proactive if I want to test it.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think of the things that you cannot do? How do
Sorry,
you
how do you,
how do you feel about the things that you cannot do? Sometimes in a career we do think that we should be able to do everything because a colleague is able to do that because others are doing it, but we cannot do everything like you said. How do you feel about?
well, some of the things I don't want to do, even in career, some things I'm not interested in, some things I toy with the idea. Sometimes I think I'd like to try it, sometimes I think I don't. It's just, being aware of opportunities and then going for them if I feel that I'd like to or that I'm ready for.
Mm-hmm. What is the thing that terrifies you the most?
That I've not influenced anyone to help achieve their potential.
What is your greatest passion in this respect?
I think from when I was the helping others and helping them improve their life situation or their personal situation. Now, whether that's in a career area or whether that's in a personal area, I think that's important, or a business area. So I do that, for example, when I'm doing my lecturing at university, helping the students look at different possibilities. I sit on a few boards of not-for-profit businesses and help them with ideas and to try and look at things differently, even how to use the law to their advantage rather than to be limited by the law. That sort of thing.
And what are the moments that make you the happiest when you do these things?
That I see someone that I've mentored, for example, or that I've sponsored achieve.
Mm-hmm. This is really a coaching philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm happy when I achieve things too, but I do get a buzz when someone I've been working with or helping or assisting or guiding gets somewhere and, you know that you've had a hand in it, and it's even special when they thank you. Some don't, but some do, and that's even special because then they recognise that you've played some part in making them who they are at that time.
Awesome.
Now, I don't have children, so maybe some people get that from having children, but I don't have children, so I have that experience with people that I assist or help or guide.
I see. Thank you. What are the responsibilities of individuals in ensuring greater diversity in the workplace? Sorry, I keep using this term. It's shorter.
Yeah, what are the responsibilities of individuals? Well, the law is there, and the law protects diversity. The responsibility of individual is recognising what diversity exists in the business, and then how to use that diversity, how to include that diversity in the workplace, and how to use those attributes to everyone's advantage.
What's the best advice you did not follow?
Don't change the career you're in. You've already spent 5 years at university. Don't throw it away. Stay where you are. I did not follow that. I left teaching and went back to uni, did law.
Awesome. So tell us the story. You were studying education?
I did an arts degree with an education degree, and then I went to France. I came back, I was a high school teacher, I taught languages, and I realised after 2 years that it was a job, not a career, and I wanted a career with advancement and recognition of skills and etc. And teaching was a job particularly good for women that had the holidays to match the children's school holidays, etc. And that's not where I wanted to be. So I applied to do law, and when I got in and I told my parents that I wanted to change, they were not happy. You know, at the age of 27, they told me it's time you get married, not go back to uni and start again. But that's when I said my parents were born in a different age. You know, my father was born in 1914 and mum in 1925. So, you know, that's almost 100 years ago.
What voices did you hear in your head while you were fighting this fight?
Oh, you know, the typical thing that Italian mum used to say to their daughter, what will people say? What will people say? You know, we are doing the wrong thing. We have failed in being parents. What I heard was, in my head was, I was ducked to the school. I'm not going to be getting married and have babies anytime soon. I need to achieve something. I want to make something of my life before I wake up and, you know, realise that there's not much left, not much time left.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing this story. This is very exciting. How do you like change?
How do I like change?
Yes.
Well, when computers were introduced, that's how old I am, when computers were introduced, that was difficult. Change was difficult, but when I realised how it could make my life easier, and I, you know, embraced change. So I think as time has passed and I've had more experience in work and in business, I am more open to accepting change rather than less open. People have different ideas of doing things, different ways of doing things. Meeting different people, different backgrounds. I actually enjoy it. Otherwise, I get bored, and I think that's because I'm a Gemini. So the twins. Part of me doesn't like it, but part of me really does like it because I like a challenge.
Yes, I see. It seems to me that you do like it. So perhaps.
I think all up I do. Yeah.
Okay. What's going to happen in the next 10 years in terms of diversity in the workplace?
Well, I think those in leadership positions or in management positions will need to improve their skills to be able to deal with it. I think there'll be changes in how work is done, full stop, in the next 10 years, let alone diversity in the workplace. So I guess it's like the Industrial Revolution when the machines came and you needed less workers, or when you had some jobs have disappeared, you know, like secretaries these days, the need for a secretary is very limited because of the computers, etc. So I think that diversity in the workplace, the whole workplace is going to change. What is a workplace? And then the people in it and how it's going to work. There'll be major change, and I think the need to help people prepare for it or deal with it needs to be thought through.
I see.
You know, too much change, I think, is going to be coming, and not everyone's going to be prepared for it.
Exciting.
Yes,
Okay.
scary but exciting.
So we are almost at the end, and thank you so much so far. Do you have a final thought?
I think stereotypes is how people in leadership or in recruitment or whatever have worked in the past, that they believe that they know people because they're that sort of a person, or they come from that background, therefore that's what I get, or she's a woman and she's in her early 20s, so she's going to want to have babies and she'll be out of the workforce. And that stereotype is not positive, and the stereotypes are what limits making the most of diversity in a workplace. So I think that there are some people in particular sectors that need to stop using stereotypes and look outside the square. And whether that be advertisers, marketers, filmmakers, game developers, people who help shape culture in a society need to stop using the shorthand of stereotypes and look at people for what they are and who is a leader. I think that's it.
Very inspiring. Thank you then for your time. It was really, it went so quickly that I think I got too excited as it often happens, but I need to let you go at this time, and I would like to close by thanking you and letting you know that you did make my day like yesterday, and that I think you are going to change my life a little bit, because I'm going to think of all the things that you said, and I will probably want to follow and copy copy something that you've done, and follow what you're doing, and I may be in contact again, and I wish you all the best, and thank you so much for your time and your inspiring ideas, Maria.
Not a problem. I look forward to speaking to you again.
Thank you. Have a great day and talk to you then. Bye. Bye bye.
Bye, Sonia.
Bye.